Hey there, bud. So sometimes questions have objectively correct answers, like 1 + 1 = 2, or if you thought Season 8 of GOT was good, you shouldn't operate heavy machinery. Sometimes questions have multiple answers. For example, you could look at this person and say it's Canadian actress Catherine Winnick, and I could say it's a woman so beautiful that I would walk over broken glass for the opportunity to wash her car, and we'd both be right. Sometimes questions don't have a definitive, provable answer, like what created the universe or which planet are these creatures indigenous to. And sometimes, when posed with a question, we can use what lies before us and create our own answer. That's what I love about art. You can either take the Lego pieces you got and build what's on the box, or you can build a fucking sniper rifle, and it's all legitimate. And I think the best way to explain how that's possible is by talking about these two games, The Last of Us Part 1 and A Plague Tale Requiem. Okay, well, it's debatably not the best way, but I finally got around to playing Requiem, and I want to talk about it, so let me know if this synopsis sounds familiar. A protagonist lives during an apocalypse and travels with a young child they barely know who needs to be protected. During that journey, the protagonist discovers said child is the key to saving the world as that child becomes their own personal world. And as their bond grows, the protagonist grows into the person they were meant to be. Now, if you've only played one of these games, you're probably thinking I'm talking about the game you played, but of course, I'm actually talking about both, because the foundations which The Last of Us and A Plague Tale are built upon are the same. They both are stories that involve a cruel and unforgiving setting. They both have characters who are the solution to the plot's main problem, and both their plots take a backseat to the real core of each story, which is the characters, and how our protagonist grows due to their relationship with the secondary character. Yet in many ways, The Last of Us and A Plague Tale are also the exact opposite story. Now, I'm going to use spoilers to prove my point, so if you care about that, I'll give you a second to bail. Alright, so The Last of Us takes place in a post-apocalyptic, modern-day America, where the end was brought upon by zombies. A Plague Tale takes place in medieval France, where the end is being brought upon by the macula, a magical disease that infects a host and causes rats to go batshit crazy. The Last of Us stars Joel, an old man looking after Ellie, a young shit-talking girl, whereas A Plague Tale stars Amicia, a teenage girl looking after Hugo, a young boy who is more sweet and innocent than a honey-flavored puppy. In The Last of Us, we find out Ellie could be the cure to the zombie virus, whereas in A Plague Tale, we find out Hugo is the cause. Each set of characters go on a journey where they bond and try to find a cure, but after building said relationship and finding out Ellie and Hugo need to die for the cure, we see Joel decide to save Ellie and possibly damn the world, whereas Amicia kills Hugo to save it. Oh, and side note, writers, developers, we need more slings. By God, this weapon is so cool and was so satisfying to use not every single, but almost every single time. I'm not sponsored by Big Sling. It's just cool, okay? Get it done. Anyways, how can two stories with so many similarities end up going in completely different directions? Let's start with Joel. By the time The Last of Us really begins, Joel is in his 50s and has already lived an entire life. He had a wife and a daughter, lost both, and now just lives day to day trying to get by. He's lived a lifetime of trials and tribulations that have developed him into the shell of a man he is at the story's beginning. So Joel's character and identity are already largely set in stone. And throughout the story, you're less watching Joel change into someone new and more so watching his relationship with Ellie help him regain his passion for life and his former identity, a father. On the flip side, you have Amicia, who is a 15-year-old girl. Her life has barely begun, and she doesn't know a whole lot about anything. She even lives in a secluded estate away from the big city and barely knows her own brother. However, her life's pretty sweet and fulfilling. She has a happy family, a farm, a dog, helpers. It's all grand. And when most of it gets taken away, it sets the stage for her massive character growth. From an innocent girl who has it all to becoming a battle-hardened warrior fighting desperately to hold on to what she has left. Another way to look at it is Joel is broken and gets fixed as the story goes on, and Amicia is whole and gets chipped away at over time. And we can actually see this reflected in their settings. Joel starts out in a dingy settlement surrounded by zombies, and over time, despite the presence of zombies and all this world's problems, the setting slowly opens up and becomes more inhabitable, lively, and magical. Whereas Amicia starts out in a beautiful estate, and over time, the world becomes filled with more and more destruction as rats chew through everything in sight. Early on in their stories, Joel and Amicia meet Ellie and Hugo and start to develop really close and touching relationships with their counterparts. Ellie cracks lame jokes, challenges Joel, and helps him feel like a father again. Whereas Amicia and Hugo go to festivals, play pretend, and Hugo helps Amicia develop into the person she was destined to be by giving her a reason to be a protector and warrior. As we go on, we discover Ellie was bitten by zombies before and survived, meaning her blood could be used to develop a vaccine, although the tests performed on her will probably kill her as a result. In contrast, we discover Hugo is a carrier of the macula, a magical force bound to Hugo, and if its host isn't killed, it will cause rats to go feral and destroy everything. And then comes the final choice. When Joel discovers what will happen to Ellie, he has a choice to make: save Ellie or save the world. And he chooses Ellie. As for Amicia, she tries again and again and again to find cures for Hugo, but ultimately makes the decision to kill him. And I think what's so awesome about each story is, despite choosing different outcomes, both characters narratively made the correct choice, because both characters chose the solution that solved their main problem. Throughout both Plague Tale games, we see Amicia get exposed to the horrors of the world, and Hugo helps bring life back into it. But he is also the cause of most of her world's problems, not only because of the rats, but because Hugo's existence puts a target on her back as different factions try to kidnap Hugo. She has to travel vast distances through hellish conditions, fight off tons of people. Each kill fuels her bloodlust and vengeance to an unhealthy degree, which then fuels Hugo's bloodlust and worsens his condition, which then worsens Amicia's mental state, and on and on. Essentially, A Plague Tale is a story about letting go and embracing the inevitable. Her life and the world around her gets progressively worse and worse the more she tries to fight the fact that her brother is going to die. Life is rough. Your loved ones will die eventually, and until you let go and move on, your world will be nothing but battle after battle. And we see that after she makes the choice to kill Hugo and save the world, she still has a life ahead of her. She's still young and has friends like Lucas and Sophia and a future traveling the world. Even though she'll never forget Hugo, she can still have a life without him. In contrast, The Last of Us Part 1 is a story about struggle and finding a reason to keep on living. Joel had no purpose after his daughter died and was just going through the motions until he met Ellie. After 20 years of solitude and despair, he found a reason to live again. He would give anything to have his daughter back, and now, in a way, he does. And there is no fucking way he's going to give that up again. So Joel makes the morally questionable choice to damn everyone and save her, because without Ellie, there is no reason to live. Of course, Ellie dying may have done nothing to help the apocalypse, and maybe Joel could have moved on, but now we'll never know. And ultimately, it doesn't matter, because without Ellie, the world isn't worth saving. Which story you prefer is up to you, but I see the beauty in both. And when two stories like these come along, I can't help getting excited and feeling creative. Not just because of their individual quality, but because it just goes to show that you can start anywhere and end up anywhere, so long as the journey in between takes you where you're supposed to be. That's it. See you later, bud.